Let's talk about sin's desire to entangle you. I have in my hands here a marionette puppet. And when my children were young, I used to do a little song and dance with this puppet. We called it Dinky. And I took the Oregon fight song and sang Dinky, 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 like that. But I had a rule with my kids, and my rule was that they never got to touch or play with the puppet. And the reason is that these strings so easily get tangled up. And once they are tangled up, they are very difficult to untangle. Now I'm going to set this puppet back, and I have to do it very carefully so I don't tangle up these strings. Welcome to Truth Talk with Ed Skipper, published every Monday and Thursday. Listen to the two commands and the reason for those commands in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1 and 2. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. So the reason for the commands is that people like Abraham and Moses that are listed in Hebrews chapter 11 have run the race with faith. That's evidence that you can do it too. And so what we're told to do is throw off every hindrance and the sin that so easily entangles. We're talking about that today. Did you know that you are at war? And 1 Peter 2:11 and 12 says, "Dear friends, I urge you as aliens and strangers in the world to abstain from sinful desires which war against your soul." Sinful desires war against your soul. Cain was told after his sacrifice was not accepted by God and Abel's was in Genesis 4:4, "But if you do what is right, if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." So we need to be watchful and attentive. Sin is trying to entangle us and rule over us. When my wife and I were first married, living in Eugene, we used to rent canoes and go down to a canal and enjoy, if I can say enjoy. Sometimes we had a lot of conflict on these canoe rides, but what happened was that we would both row along and we weren't used to coordinating together, and we'd end up going places we didn't intend to go. We couldn't steer it straight. Finally, my wife said, "Let's just stop this. You do the rowing and you take care of it." And then we couldn't blame each other, right? And I also learned a neat trick, which is that if you will row backwards, you can stop the canoe. And the reason that came in handy is because the canal that we were on had blackberry bushes on the sides. And what would happen is we would steer off to the side, and I didn't know how to stop the canoe at that time, and we would float through those blackberry bushes and get all scratched up and entangled in them. That's what sin is like. It wants to entangle you and it wants to harm you. And so there are constant temptations coming our way, and those temptations will not go away on this side of eternity. And so I would ask you this question: what sin is tempting to entangle you now? What pattern of temptation do you notice in your life where sin is trying to entangle you? And do you have a habit that you need to give up, a sin habit that you are entangled in? It may have its roots in pride, in selfishness, in covetousness, in lust, or in greed. What are those sin habits and temptations that trip you up? Are you willing, in response to the grace of God, to say no to the entanglement of sin? Hey, make sure that if you're on a platform that allows it, that you subscribe, that you like, that you share, and until next time, may you throw off every sin that entangles you and resist every temptation that sin would bring to entangle you.